Hi, welcome to our Training Tuesday. My name is Justin Vasquez, and today we're going to be discussing Krieger Specialty Products. Krieger is a high-end specialty manufacturer. They produce SCIF-rated, RF-rated, and sound-rated assemblies, but they also offer an abundance of different products that they don't advertise very often. So we're going to talk about those today. Before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know that if you participate in any of our Training Tuesdays, you are eligible for a drawing that we hold at the end of every month for a Google Home device. So please register for our classes, not only for the ones that we've done in the past, thank you for those by the way, but also for the ones that are coming up in the future. Next month, we are going to be doing 3 classes, and they include Shrimpco Healthy Hardware, an AIA course that is going to go over builder's hardware, and then we're going to end it with Keyscan and Aurora. So it's going to be a quick overview of Keyscan, what they have to offer, and then go over the Aurora software. So join those classes, sign up, like and share our YouTube, our LinkedIn, and be a part of the group.
Central West Regional Sales Manager for Krieger. So I do Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. We have 4 other regional managers as well throughout the country. And our president of our company actually does international too. But just to give you a little overview of who Krieger is and what we do special purpose doors and windows. One of the things that we really just to give you an overview of what we kind of want to achieve here is our vision statement and mission statement, and all those critical success factors that go along with that. We do these every day just to remind ourselves what we're trying to achieve here with not only you as our end customers, but also internally. So I like this model of success and what we're trying to do to achieve what we're really putting out there in the market. A little background history about Krieger. We're 100% made in the USA. Obviously, we do acoustical, but we do radio frequency, bullet blast, force entry. Another one that should be up there is FEMA, tornado, and hurricane. We do those as well, and we do hybrids within all those different specialty products. 100% made out of the USA. Really helps us secure government projects. It's probably 60% of what we do as far as our projects. Another good thing about us is we do offer a 10-year warranty, which is unmatched. I haven't seen anybody, not even our competitors, really matching that. So that really speaks volumes of the product that we're putting out there. We have achieved an SCC 51 and 53, which is not entirely new news, and it's not old news for our competitors, but we were the first ones to do it and broke that barrier. We're doing a lot of R&D right now in the RF SCC sector. So get ready for that, because we know that's just becoming more apparent these days, especially with the requests that we're getting. Another thing to take note is we've never actually failed an acoustic field test. It saves you both time and money, like it says right there. And I think it goes well beyond our capabilities of what we're doing as far as lab tests, and really showing you these metrics. We also we do a lot of P-lam and wood veneer on top of our doors. So, but we do a lot more than that you'll see as we go along in this presentation. Another thing that we do is the features and benefits, and not to get into more boring part of this, but the thing I take away from this is that our flywheel communication is really top notch right now. We came out with this right when I started with Krieger, and Jonathan Jones even mentioned it when we got our first PO together, that he loved our onboarding process, which doesn't leave our customers in the dark, which it did in the past. So we wanted to really figure out what that communication was internally and externally. We started off with 3, and now we have 23. So we're continuously improving in that area, and it's really being noticeable on the ends of our customers. So really, to get into it with the acoustics and everything and what we do, really, that's the definition right there. We assemble proprietary components designed to function as a system, and it goes beyond the commodity door and window. It's a reproducible performance for laboratory and field conditions, which it really meets the unique needs of it for our acoustics, blast, and all our hybrids. This is just the areas that you'll see us in as far as certain projects. The demands are increasing. It's sad to say, but especially out here in Colorado, you'll have threats and crime, and obviously schools. It's unfortunate, but our doors are becoming more fluent in schools as well. Our STC doors actually have bullet level resistance to it just by themselves, which is kind of nice. It's an added value to you. But this demand has been increasing, and in all these different areas. So we're just going to jump right into acoustical. And everyone still can hear me fine and see the presentation? Justin? Just making sure.
Yep, all good.
Okay. So we're just going to jump into the acoustical portion of this and get right into it. So acoustic radio assemblies is designed for exactly that reason, blocking out transmission. We custom manufacture everything to your needs and qualifications based on these measures. And to see these measures, next page, you'll see STC reports. If you go to our website, which is brand new, and I apologize because we had a server failure shut down about 4.5 weeks ago due to the heat wave, pretty much fried our server. I did have a more up-to-date presentation, but this is the last and greatest. But you'll see that some of these don't match up with our website, which is brand new. But all our STC reports are on our pre-engineered models, and we provide these from a stringent test lab facility based on the entire assembly being tested. So as you can see, transmission loss is calculated right here, and produces a report based on the calculations. It gives you that STC frequency in hertz. So to know more about that, we can go into it, but just for time's sake, that's kind of what we can give you based off our pre-engineered, and from there we do customizations to fit your needs. This table is really, it's part of the presentation. I really don't like it, to be honest, but it's just to give you, everyone always asks is like, what does that mean as far as noise reduction? So as you can see right there, the higher it is, the less you can hear, and the more less STC rating, the more you can hear. So it's just a guide. If anything, it's not really an ASTM rating or anything like that, but it's just a good guide for people that want to understand it a little bit more. What we offer is up to STC 55 for door and 56 for windows. A lot of these offerings come with the special elevation frames and transoms and side lights. Actually, we have a customizable and configurable new product out there that we'll get to. We also offer that. SCIF and 705 packages. We have a door and lock package for certain criteria met that we'll get into later on, but we'll go over that as well. And then again, hybrid assemblies. You'll always see that throughout this presentation. We do a lot of customization in hybrid. As you can see to that picture on the lower right, the mid-size and oversized door assemblies, we do a ton of those. Actually, Jonathan and I just, we started doing a bullet level 7 STC 45 and 55 oversized pairs for the Northern Colorado law office, actually. So that's pretty much what that's going to look like right there. Like I said, we do a variety of finishes. As you can see to the door on the bottom right, that's just a wood paneling molding on top of our door, but aesthetically pleasing, and we can do a lot of that. The only thing we can't do that I will mention is recess, because then it gets right into the door, and that actually will detriment the rating or whatever we're trying to achieve at that point for you. We will also offer 3 hours, 90 minutes as well, just on the wood veneer and P-lam. please take note that that is non-repairable if anything, if an occurrence was about to happen, and then custom designs as such. Back to the windows, we do up to a 56. And what I should have mentioned before, there is a standardized drop in the field of 5 that's acceptable for doors, but for windows, however, it's not. So when you're saying SCC 56, it has to meet that criteria, just to give you a heads up on that. Our sliding is up to 51, and our sliding is just as good as a fixed window at 51, so there's no detriment in that as well. As you can see, we do radius frames and single or dual sloping glazing frames, as you can see on the bottom right. Here is the window wall I was talking about that's configurable. You can pretty much make any configuration you want up to an STC 52. We have, I think, about 15 different customizable areas of testing that our engineers did and brought up with. So this just came out last month or the month prior, I believe, but it's been a hot item, especially for schools and other proprietary projects that we've done. So please take a note of this, because if you're looking for something like this, we have it. Again, SCC 55. So we did push the market to a 53 inch 3/4 door, but our 55 is 3 inches thick. We can wood veneer that and peel on that as well at 3/4 thick. But this is just a note right here. As you can see, this is our 3 inch thick CAD drawing, and this is what would be your 53 and below. It's a dual system, but like you can see, I mean, this is pretty much a beast of a door, and there's some ADA compliancy issues with this you should be aware of. So if you were going to want to quote for like a 3070, we add another 3 inches just because of the thickness of the door to meet an ADA requirement of minimum clearance of 32. But there is also the push-pull ratio of 5 pounds for ADA compliance, which we would not meet. So you have to take that into consideration as well. But we have lab testing up to 46 and 47, constructed beyond that. And when I mean constructed, we're not going to put something out there that's not going to meet that criteria, but we don't have the means necessary to test every IG unit of glass. You know, an IG unit is insulated glass unit. And what that means is it's like glass pane, air, and glass. So there's so many different configurations and different glasses that you can do that would really be expensive to test every single one, just like hardware is for example. But we do have that means to do that. We have special elevation frames as well, and electrified cam lift hinges. This is just a depiction of our slip-in frame. So kind of like for all the distributors on the call, kind of like your knockdown frame, but this is just very useful for keeping the GC going on the project to not stop, and can build his walls. But a lot of this, these slip-in frames work very well with our RF componentry, which we'll get to. It just ties in the wall very well, which we'll get later into the presentation. So this would be what you would see on most of our assemblies, what's included on our bids. Electric cam lift hinges, the regular ones, the thresholds, the cap retainer seals, and the door in the frame. These are all tested. We also do pairs. We have the means to do a pair with an Astral up to a 52. And we do mullions as well. And the mullion kind of acts as a single opening at that point. So you can get higher on the SCC rating for those. But the mullions as well, because we do oversized, but we will not go past I believe, a 9.5 or 10 foot mullion, because at that point it's not ideal to be removable by one person. So like I said, again, our website really doesn't look like this anymore. It's been it's been updated and new, but same information or more updated information for hardware recommendations. I know a lot of people out there were asking about auto operators, and the thing with that is we really don't have, we can recommend stuff, but we really don't know the rigidity level with some of those, and that's the reason why that's not on there. But for namesake, we do recommend the Horton or the Visa models. So like I said, we do a lot of hybrids, but as I mentioned before with the schools, we started testing some of our SCC 50s and 45s that we normally do in schools, and they naturally just tested with some bullet level ratings. So it's a great added value to the school and to your end customer. We also do force entry, and like I said, tornado and hurricane, we do the FEMA doors. Tornadoes probably, or is the more constructed base one of the two from the hurricane. Hurricane, where you probably put your own hardware on there, or tornado, we would probably include the hardware on, just to meet those conditions and those performance. This is one of the products I was telling you that we can't, since we're custom, we are not a stock manufacturer, but this is one of the things that we do stock. So we see a lot of these, and actually for the SCIF requirements, this is kind of what's laid out on that the SCIF requirement page, which if you want one of those, I can actually send it to Justin to hand out to you guys. And I can also send what our door unlock package is. But we do GSA hardware, which is certified and installed and shipped to you on the door with a 3-week lead time, which actually is not a 3-week lead time. I take that back. It's 21 working days is what we say now. But for all purposes, there is certain criteria that has to be met for that door lock package, which is pretty much a whole door and frame and all this that you see on this page in a box. And there's actually no grouting required. We use rock wool for the frames to meet these requirements. So, like I said, we do a lot of oversized. We get a lot of people even wanting us to do regular hollow metal with no specialty rating, which we used to do, but it really puts a hold on our production. But we go up to 20 foot by 20. And as you can see there, we'll ship in sections if needed, and it includes everything as far as the hardware. What it doesn't mention on here is when you do, say you do send us a PO on something like this, we would send an embedded sill, which we actually have instructions on our website for on how to install that, but that would be something that would be laid into the ground. But it doesn't say on this page here, but that's something to take into consideration for these oversized doors. So this is just the standard testing and field performances. Like I said, there's a standard 5 decibel drop in the field. Krieger, what we've seen as far as anyone coming back with a field test is like 2 to 3 with us, but the standardized is 5. So that's kind of what that means for the drop. So if you have a 50, if you're field tested, you can actually pass with a 45. Yeah, this is where I was talking about the rock wool. So the rock wool for the SCIF doors, we can do anything higher than that. We really recommend grouting the frames, which we have an installation video, as you see the link there, which that link doesn't work because it's out of date. So I apologize again for the not most up-to-date presentation here, but we do have that on our website, and this would be the process for that. This is just additional hardware, so we like to take in consideration for not causing air leakage. But we do all these type of components, custom make, however you want to put your hardware on there. Again, this is where all our installation guides, as you can see, a lot of acoustic, and then you have frames, and then you have RF. So this is a very good tool to have, and a lot of our even certified installers still go to these items just to help them out on projects. But this is all on our website. And we have videos. And he's actually, he mostly did a lot of our installation videos. He has his own company now, but he's our recommended installer out of the West Coast, but he does travel all over the nation as well. So it kind of wraps up our acoustics in a brief kind of way where I'm sure you guys have more questions on that. If you do, just let me know. You can always reach out to me. But this is the required information for submittals. We actually need the purchase order and dollar amount noted, as well as the bid number, which really helps us. We should probably update that as well. But this is the things that we need. So that wrapped up acoustic. We're going to go into bullet and force entry.
Before we start, Steve, does anyone have any questions on the acoustical section from Krieger?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
I had a quick question, Steve. So earlier you showed some additional pieces that were to be used with different manufacturers' hardware. Why are those pieces necessary when installing those with Krieger's frames?
It's because of the seals. You don't want to cut into the seal and have air leakage. So we cut to make, you're talking about those brackets, correct? For other people. Yeah, that's why we do that. And we can custom make anything. So if you need a certain design on a bracket, we can do it.
And so if you were to penetrate those seals, would you have any type of acoustical drop, or does it void the warranty?
It wouldn't void the warranty, but you would have an acoustical drop. And if the customer was complaining about that, we would say that's the reason why. But that's why we make the brackets. We do not want to cut into the cap and retainer and the seal at that point.
Right. So keep in mind, guys, that whenever you are installing Krieger specialty products or having your installer install those products, that you use all of the recommended hardware that they provide and also that you have, so that way you don't get any type of acoustical drop or a faulty installation.
That's correct. And really, we just don't do any concealed hardware as well. That's why we have a recommended page. For example, like on a pair, you're not going to do concealed auto flush bolts. We're going to use manual surface bolts for the pair. That's just as an example. So really taking into consideration of not screwing anything into the door that's going to be compromising the SEC rating of that door.
Awesome, good work, Steve. All right, so now we're moving into bullet resistant and forced entry.
All right. So this is just kind of the introduction of bullet resistant doors and windows. I'm sure you guys are aware of. This is nothing new. All our bullet doors are 1.75 inches. The forced entry are 2.5 thick, so please keep that in mind. But we're designed, this is designed to protect personal property and small firearms, pretty much. There's a lot of applications, retail and banking, police stations, federal agencies, courtrooms, just a lot of everything. I even get a lot of people contacting me for residential stuff, which we obviously, we don't go through residential, but a lot of people do contact us for that. But anyways, so these are constructed using formed heavy gauge steel face sheets, and they're custom engineered. So on the higher end, which we'll get to the next slide, we do a bullet level 9 with armor piercing. So we go all the way up to that level. The level 1 and 2, we really don't do a ton of, not even the 3s. I do sell a lot of 3s, but I'll be honest, we're just not very competitively priced at that. We're really more in the 4s and beyond. but something to keep in mind for us going forward. Like I said, we go up to bullet level 9. This is what's on the market today, and we do any performance combinations of the two. So like I said, Jonathan and I have something up north where we're doing oversized bullet level 7 and SEC 55. So that's the capabilities that we can do and custom make for you guys. These include ratings of 3 hours. Now for the oversized, I must say, there's no testing facility for that. So when people always ask for that to be EL rated, we can't unfortunately do that, but we do offer a Krieger combustible label, which is just as good in our mind view. We don't think anything's going to happen with that, and that's why we offer it. But the whole reason behind it is there's no testing facility. So we base it off our standard man-sized door testing, because some of these might be spliced in the field or welded in the field to be together as one. But that's kind of what we do on these. We still do bar lights, teller windows. The good thing about teller windows, which we'll get to the next slide, I'll just go right there right now and go back. But notice how we just do these levels. The reason why is because there's a lot of companies out there that don't even get to this level. I think CR Lawrence is one of them where I think they only offer 1 or 2, 3, but we manufacture these in-house. Like I said, everything we do and procure is made out of the USA. Actually, all our metal that's bought is also in the USA, just for government purposes. But let me go back real quick. So these components, they come custom or standard hardware. So just depends on the bullet level. But like for bullet level 3, you could probably put your own hardware on there, and then we would customize for higher level bullet ratings with our hardware. This one, to be honest, I've never sold one of these or even had a request for one, but we do have them. So if you have any projects with armories or arm rooms, we have this door for you. I know on the West Coast, the regional sales manager out there does quite a few of these per year, but we do offer this. So keep that in mind, that we do have the issue-proof port door. So we do have this video online. It's our forced entry video. We actually ended up failing around 32 minutes, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but it was around 30-something minutes. But we do offer the 5 and 15. I know there's hours out there, or 60 minutes, but we didn't get to that point yet. And we offer it with the hybrid as well. So that wraps up bullet. Pretty self-explanatory. This is what we need to gather before requesting the quote. So we just need to know the ratings, sizes and quantities. Pretty much your takeoff, but more information the better, obviously, to give you a more accurate quote and go from there. Does anyone have any questions on bullets and forced entry? All right, I'm gonna keep going along. So blast and pressure, this is the one that, these are all based off calcs. So we really need to know a lot of information for blast and pressure to get the most accurate quote, and not only that, but more accurate on hardware on the loads that it takes. So right off, we're starting off with pressure resistance between blast resistance. So as you can see, static load and dynamic load. The way to really think about it is pressure is applied over relatively long duration, so just constant pressure. Where blast is just kind of just a short shock, really, of duration. So with that said, I mean, we'll get to the next slide here, but we need to know pretty much all this information. The seated pressure and versus unseated pressure, if you imagine, look at this door, seated, what it means is seated into the frame, and the frame is going to take that pressure. Normally, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be an exterior door that's seated. When you really think about it, because I'm on this side, if I kick into the door, it's seated against the frame. On the other side of the door, and I kick it, it's on the outside of the frame. So we really have to understand and know this, because it really determines the hardware as well, for latching and what the load's taking on this side, and usually a door split in half. So this takes 50% and this takes 50%. So we just have to know what that is with the rebound and the pressure resistance. This is a great little slide here. It really explains the depiction of what's happening here for UFC. And as you can see, the standout distance right here is really, really needed. So we need to know the charge weight, the standout distance, or the PSI. It's one of these or the other. Because if you think about this, the charge weight, I mean, is it a backpack or is it going to be a huge truck like this? And how close is it going to be? So we really need to know what kind of protection we're giving you for these quotes. Sometimes they're even in specs, to be honest, and they don't even have enough information. I actually just had one recently where I couldn't even produce an accurate enough quote because we just didn't have enough information. So he went back and he's like, yeah, they're right. We'll get back to you with the right information. So take note on that, on the specifications. These are the different UFC levels. So we're not going to do anything at below AT standards. Obviously, we wouldn't be competitive at that either. And that really becomes a flying debris hazard at that point. But this really just gives you the low to high. So high being fully operable and unchanged after taking a blast, and very low to where it's not even operable anymore. And that's for UFC standards, by the way. This is industrial projects, which is PIP. And this is what we need to know for PIP. So we need to know the PSI or PSF and the duration for PIP. So the rebound is really important here too, because when pressure hits a surface that bends material and bounces it back, we need to know what that is. Usually 70 to 100% needs to be taken to be operable, which the next slide kind of shows what UFC standards were, but this is the PIP standards. So it's the same thing as UFC, but just in a different category mix that they put together. So ductility, everyone always asks me that. The correct saying for ductility is object's ability to change on an amount of pressure, I believe. So it's pull or stretching to me. So the more pull, obviously, for repeated blast, if you will, prevents it from being rebound. So inoperable, operable, it's kind of like the reverse of what UFC was. So these are the different offerings that we have with in conjunction to blast and pressure. So we can do all these things even with an oversize, but we really need to know the pressure and how the door is supposed to perform afterwards. So we need all that criteria, like I was talking about before, to really understand what we're trying to achieve here at the end of the day. And again, we do hybrids as well. So this is resistant windows, and these are ASTM guidelines as well for the hazard ratings. And it's defined by pressure ratings and configurations. So again, you're mostly going to see these on the exterior, and they're all going to be IGUs, so insulated glass units. But yeah, we're going to need the same information. And here you go. This is what we need to request a quote. Just kind of like what we went over. And that's pretty much wraps up blast and pressure. Any questions on blast and pressure at all from anybody?
No, sir.
All right. All right, we'll jump into radio frequency, which it seems like more and more people are really wanting to understand these days, especially with the hybrids of STC for a lot of these projects that are coming out. Even data centers, a ton of data centers are doing these. So let's jump right into it. Obviously, the purpose is to reduce and eliminate transmissions. I'm not going to go through this whole slide with the key terms, but I mean, this is pretty much what you're seeing on the very bottom is you're trying to eliminate stuff coming in and stuff going out. And what that is called is a Faraday cage. And we'll get to that in the next slide, which is a six-sided enclosure, if you will. So we are the weakest point as far as the door for that Faraday cage. And what we do then, what other people don't, is that we conductively do everything in our door. Where some people will use, like a paint or even finger stock, which is like copper finger stock that goes around the door. And that stuff crushes easily. So what we do is a little bit different, but we think about the Faraday cage, and that's how we applied our door. This is a really good detail of a RF SEC hybrid, and this is how it ties into the wall. So this is the RF path with the foil from the wall going into our frame, going to our door. I thought this was really good to show just because of the ability for the slip-in frame. We just heard from our installers that the slip-in frame for these type of projects are just very, very helpful. It's not something we always include unless asked, but again, it's just a really good application for these doors. This is just kind of the overview that's on our website and what we provide. So we do RF only, but we do a lot of the hybrids, to be honest. And the hybrids, again, are 3 inches thick. So it's essentially 2-panel door, like you saw on that CAD drawing. But this is where we only go up to a 50 with the 60 dB. We are in R&D phases right now to get even more up into that and actually provide up to 100 dB as well. So this is our shielding principles, and this is just a caption of where Krieger falls within, just a graph of the different waves, the fields that we perform at. And I have put together a little like Excel sheet of where we actually test the different testing methods. So it really gets into what is the most stringent test out there, and we'll get to that in a second. But this is on our RF shielding principles, which is downloadable on our website as well. So this is just a little caption of one of the pages. It's like a 10-page document, but this kind of captures what Krieger does. Again, these are the different fields and their typical frequency ranges where you should be seen. So, magnetic has to be from here. That's typical, and that's typical for electric, and so on and so on. But to really show you what I mean, and I really don't like this page because it's too much information. So I broke it down to a different slide, which is the next slide after this one. I'll come back to this. But so this is where Krieger tests at. And we test everything to IEEE 299, which is the most stringent, to be honest, in this table showing our product tests in comparison to the applicable standard. So our RF products are tested to the IEEE. It's ultimately up to the owner to really specify which standard is appropriate for field testing, though. So I know this is kind of confusing, but since it's a lab test and you can't really do the same purpose of that test in the field, we just suggest the MLI STD 285, which is, I believe it's just center of the door. I don't think it's a perimeter sweep, and it's just predefined frequencies that no test plan required, where IEEE is just the most stringent criteria to be tested. The reason why we tested that is so we know that we meet all these other standards right here in all the different fields. So as you can see, this is where we tested those. And I just thought it was a better breakdown of where Krieger sits. So if you ever need this, I obviously have a saved copy, and I can always send that to you and explain the methodology and the instrumentation used for these tests. for these standards. And again, installation guides on our website. And this is what's required before requesting a quote, just for your takeoff. Again, the more information we have, the better. Even if you just want to send us a spec and we can take a look at that, usually these items are pretty defined in the specification. And that is it for RF. Does anyone have any questions for RF assemblies or hybrids?
Do you need any type of special hardware when installing those RF and sound rated openings?
Correct. So you get, because the hybrid, if it's RF only, you don't. They can be RF, hardware that someone else provides or you can supply by others, but there's really no defined definition for it. But for our sake, for STC and RF hybrids at 3 inches thick, it minimalizes, just like our STC 55, of what hardware you can use, because you need a 5-inch back set. So for example, like the skiff doors that we were talking about at a 3070, that's 1.75 inches thick. We supply, certified, and install the GSA hardware, which could be a Sargent Greenleaf exit device or lever. It can be a Cabo Moss, or it can be a Lockmaster's exit and lever. So, but when you get to the thickness of adding STC, then we can't even use Sargent Greenleaf or Cabo Moss, and you're pretty much only pinpointing to LCAM at that point. And that's just for skiff. But for RF, that's where I'm kind of leading to, is where you're minimalizing the hardware you can actually use, because you need the 5-inch back set.
Yeah, so pay attention, everyone. Whenever you are specifying your projects out, take a look at the thickness of those openings, because certain openings that are thicker are going to require a special type of hardware. And certain hardware manufacturers may not be able to offer chassis that will reach that thickness. So keep that in mind when specifying your jobs moving forward. And if you're not sure, please reach out to the experts. I'm sure that Steve will be able to supply a list of personnel at Krieger that can help, or reach out to me and I can help you as well.
That is correct, yeah. And just to, say kind of what I did in the beginning for STC 55, again, if you have a 3070, especially a 3070, we at least want to meet the minimum requirement for ADA compliancy on the width, which is 32 inches. So we add an extra 3 inches for free. But as far as the ADA compliancy for 5-pound push-pull ratio, we do not meet that requirement. I think our hybrid doors are at 22.7 pounds per square foot, which is also listed on our website. So just keep that in mind if there is any ADA requirements. Any other questions? All right, hurricane tornado is pretty brief. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to breeze through it real quick. So, I mean, like I said before, hurricane's the lesser of the two, and tornado is where, we're pretty much going to supply all the hardware on that. As you can see, how tornado and hurricanes tested at the very middle, the impact resistance. Tornado's at 15 pounds at a 2x4, and hurricane's at 9. So that's the difference. But we supply most of the hardware on tornado to meet the requirements. But hurricane is the lesser of the two, where you can put your own hardware on there. Doors are 1.75 inches thick, and that's what they come with. So we do have our own 3-point latching system, and we can either use continuous hinges or LCN closer or whatever you like at that point, but that's kind of what we gear to. Hurricane, the same thing, but then again, you get to use your own hardware. And that wraps up tornado, FEMA, and hurricane. So Anyone have any questions on that? All right, I'll just jump into the finishes. This is kind of wrapping up our presentation here, but just want to go over the finishes one more time. As we do a lot of custom stuff, as you can see right here, but we'll do molding and cladding, custom stains, clear coat finishes. I mean, you name it, we'll either qualify or say what we can do. I mean, obviously there's some criteria that's involved. Like if it's 60-minute, we can't do certain things, but we'll try to match what you're trying to achieve at that point. Again, we do a lot of PLAM. We do a lot of PLAM, which will make the door 2 inches thick. So I'll go from 1.75 to 2 inches thick at that point. And then for like a SEC 55, it would be 3 inches thick to 3 1/4. We do a lot of the stainless steel. We do get a lot of customers coming to us just for regular hollow metal stainless steel, but since stainless steel is just, it's very tedious work, we only do it on our specialty doors, so we won't qualify it as a specialty item if it's not actually a specialty door. Also, hopefully that makes sense. It's not just hollow metal. We even do cladding, as you can see, stone, granite, even more historical, like the one on the right side. I know Sharon's on the call. I remember she had a project that was historical, so we do stuff like that too. Pretty unique stuff. Some additional information. So we're all on the website as well, where you can contact us direct or even just email us. But those are the contacts. We did hire someone out of the Northeast. This is the president of our company, actually, where we just hired someone out of the Northeast. His name is Fran Bernardinis, and he'll be taking that on. He's just joined us about, I think, a month ago. So if you have any questions for him, he'd be out of there. And he'll be updated on the website as well. And again, these links don't work because this is not the most up-to-date presentation, so I apologize about that. But once I do, I can actually send it to Justin to give out to you guys. If anyone wants one, just message him, and I'll make a list for anything you guys want.